Everyone, and welcome back to No Time for Neutral. I'm your host, Georgia Hawthorne.
And I'm Andy.
Andy, did you get your taxes filed?
I did, like four
Okay.
days before the deadline.
I think mine was 2 days before the deadline, so you did
Oh,
better than me.
okay. Great. Great.
Yes, folks, tax day was last weekend. Hopefully everyone got theirs in, and if you didn't get them in, hopefully you filed an extension. And politically, Republicans have kind of been hoping since they passed the one big beautiful bill with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, all of their tax cuts for the rich, that they've been hoping that tax day will kind of bring them a win, some hope, because Lord knows they need it before the
Mhm.
midterms.
Right.
Um, and that pipe dream, wrong. Refunds were lower than Trump said they were going to be. He was claiming that people were going to get thousands of dollars back from the federal government, like when they filed their taxes. I didn't see that. I didn't get I didn't get over 1,000. I got like $300.
Oh, lucky you. I had to pay in for both federal and state.
I had to pay $1,000 to the state. Don't you worry.
Oh,
That's what I've been hearing though, is that a lot of people actually ended up owing on their federal taxes. And we've got
yeah.
the president over here like promising these big refunds. But even if you did get a refund, I would be hard pressed to believe that it's going to cover the extra $5,000 that we're all going to spend this year because Trump's an idiot and doesn't know how to handle the economy. Because if you break this down, we're all going to pay approximately $2,500 in extra costs because of tariffs. We're going to pay an extra $740 ish in gas because gas prices are still through the roof and not coming down anytime soon.
$3.99 here in Missoula.
When it breaks $4, I'm scared.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Me too. Another $310 in grocery prices because when gas and oil prices go up, fertilizer prices go up, food
Right.
prices go up.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone also gets to pay about an extra $1,500 in increased health insurance premiums since Republicans refused to extend ACA subsidies last year.
Right. He can no longer blame the Biden administration. Like,
No.
the dude has been president for a year and a half, and he entered us into an illegal war, which directly caused gas prices to go through the roof. Like,
Oh, for
that's
sure.
obvious and evident. We all know that. So,
I
yeah,
mean, one of the secretaries got on TV this week. I think it was Bessent. He got on TV and was like, well, so actually, gas prices might not go back down until like 2027.
ugh,
Like, we're staring down a whole year of $4 gas from what it sounds like. If it doesn't go higher than that, of course.
that is really not good. Like, the majority of the American people drive or commute, or, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
personally split my time between here and Drummond, Montana, which is 52 miles away,
Mm-hmm.
and I make multiple trips a week. That extra dollar a gallon, you know, it's a
Right.
lot when you add it up.
And I
Ugh,
mean, like, summer's just around the corner at this point. It was 80 degrees here yesterday. Like, people are going to be traveling. People are going to go be outside, do things,
right,
go to the
right.
national parks. Like, that's what Montana summer is about.
Well, and also, like, what Trump doesn't think about is when gas prices go up, Americans are smart enough to, tighten their budgets. And so those like summer traveling trips, which
Mm-hmm.
are really great for the American economy and Montana tourism,
Mm-hmm.
people are going to stay home.
Yeah.
And so Trump's beloved economy might not do so hot because of gas prices, which he caused to go up.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's just frustrating because everyone knows that the war is driving up costs. Like,
Hmm.
that's why things are getting more expensive and they have been more expensive in the last 2 months, is because of this illegal war in Iran. But the really infuriating part is that Congress refuses to do anything about it.
So
Democrats
frustrating.
have offered how many war powers resolutions at this point, and the Republicans kill them every single time.
Yeah, this is like what's infuriating about it is like they're voting so partisanly
Mhm.
when this should not be a partisan issue. Like our
Right.
president is whacked out and drug us into a war we don't need to be in, which is like, getting American soldiers killed and causing numerous,
Destroying the economy.
destroying the economy, like innocent lives in Iran are being taken, and they're just voting party line because they're afraid of Donald Trump and getting primary. Like it is,
Like, please insert the boot in your mouth a little farther.
yeah, like stand up for what's right, people. We don't need to be in this war.
No, not at all. And the hard part is that like we don't really have an option to win at this point. Like
Yeah,
the
like what
conflict's been
is
drug out
winning?
for so long. Iran refuses to give, the US refuses to give. There's a ceasefire, but it had to be extended. And then it had to include Israel and Lebanon. And so, like, the whole thing is just kind of like a giant flaming pile of garbage.
Mhm.
And the best outlook that, like, I can see, and granted, like, I'm not a foreign policy expert and I don't know a whole lot about war, but is we return to the Obama nuclear deal.
Right.
The one that Trump initially started the war over was because it wasn't a good enough deal. Like, that's really the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
And Andy, I think you have a point when you say that this should be a bipartisan issue or a nonpartisan issue or however you want to frame it. And I think Montana is still, she still has her independent streak. Even though like things seem bleak sometimes, we still are independent at the end of the day because last week Montana Democrats issued a second call for oversight on this war to Montana's delegation, basically saying, "Hi, can you please do your job? Can you please get us some answers? Can you do literally anything?" And we actually had 8 Republican legislators sign on this time,
That's great.
which is it's not a lot, but it's a start and it's a step.
It's a start.
And even little wins like that still matter right now,
Hmm.
because that's how we change minds.
Right. And in times like war, when we don't need to be in one and people are dying, it's okay to cross the aisle when you need
Mm-hmm.
to for ethical and moral reasons. So
Right.
thank you to those
Like,
8 for joining Democrats who have been against this the whole time.
mhm.
We
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having some principles. It's nice to see. So, yeah, I think the tides are really starting to shift here in Montana. Like, obviously, folks aren't happy. Like, there's a general vibe every time I go to the gas station, and it's never good.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I can like hear people like verbally like grumbling about the prices.
Hmm.
Like, it's kind of everywhere. Like, folks are not happy right now. So I'm grateful to our legislators for leading. I just maybe it's foolish at this point, but I still wish Republicans would like stop capitulating to the president and have any kind of principle or moral or something to stand on that isn't powdered orange with gold plating. Like,
Speaking of people at the gas station, I keep picturing that video that newscaster did with that lady at the pump. And she's like, our president, I voted for him 3 times, but he's such a piece of shit.
and she's like, and apparently I'm an idiot.
And apparently I'm an idiot. It's never too late to change your mind.
I'm here for it. Apparently Tucker Carlson is apologizing now.
That's quite remarkable. Yeah.
Like the OG Trump guy, Tucker Carlson, Fox News host, is now like publicly like apologizing and saying that like it's like tormenting him, like his past support of the president.
Yeah. Shit. If more of the conservative MAGA wing could come out and do the same, especially the ones that are elected in office and have the ability to do something, those are
Mm-hmm.
the ones that we really need. Well, I mean,
For
public
sure.
figures too. You're important as well, but yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for waking up.
Well, Andy, I absolutely agree that those 8 deserve their kudos for signing on to the letter. But I will say that the Montana Republican Party as a whole is a wild mess right now. The
Yeah.
girls are fighting
Yeah.
If folks remember, during the legislative session last year, there were Republican majorities in both chambers. We have a Republican governor. We have a Republican state government. They passed property tax legislation last session. And Gianforte has been running around the state calling it his signature legislation, and it's the best piece of law anyone's ever written ever. And like, he won't shut up about this property tax law. And so what the property tax law legislation did is it provided homestead exemptions to lower taxes on primary residences. So if you only have one house, you should pay a lower property tax rate because you only have one house. It also tied property taxes to value so that if your home is valued at a certain rate or at a certain threshold, you're taxed at a certain rate. So if your house is only worth $400,000, that's what you're getting taxed on. And then it also raised rates on second homes and short-term rentals. So like Airbnbs, VRBOs, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so what's going on now is we have two sitting Republican legislators, Greg Hertz from Polson and Tom McGilvray from Billings, and a former Republican legislator who also happens to be Speaker Regeer's dad.
Oh, that's
Funny enough. They all sued the state of Montana over this property tax law after their own property taxes went up. Which
means they're very wealthy individuals and their tax rate actually went up because they have a second or potentially third or fourth home.
Well, yeah, I actually was able to track that down.
Oh.
So Greg Hertz out of Polson, he doesn't own a second home, at least from what I can find. But he lives in Polson and he's a Republican legislator. So I'm going to do some really quick mental math and assume he probably has like a lakeside mansion or something to that effect. So I would imagine that your home is probably valued at a lot, which is probably why your taxes went up. McGilvray out of Billings, he has a cabin. And then Regeer also has a cabin. So that like that cabin is classified as a second home because it's another residence that you don't live in full time.
Right.
And they're trying to claim that the legislature unconstitutionally passed this property tax bill, saying that the bill was changed too much from its original intent. My interpretation is that a lot of people actually saw their property taxes go down this year. Like normal, working, regular Montanans. Not that this was a complete solution by any means. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to happen on property taxes, but like people are seeing some relief from this.
Right. This was the like very first baby step towards some property tax relief for everyday Montanans in years. Like, people have been crying for something like this for many legislative sessions, and this is the first time something happened. And this was bipartisan legislation. There's a lot of Democrats that were in favor of this and voted with the Republicans on this because they knew that most single homeowners, they would find some relief from only being taxed at that certain level for their single home. And then those that have cabins or second or third homes tend to be wealthier individuals, which they pay a little more, but Republicans don't like that. So this is why Republicans are filing a lawsuit against the state of Montana.
Well, so the state party, like the Montana Republican Party, entered the lawsuit on the side of the plaintiffs.
Which is
so now yeah, the Montana Republican Party is suing the state of Montana that they control and their Republican governor.
Right.
So just so that everyone has this straight, because it's so unnecessary. Everything they do is so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Republicans passed a bill. If everyone recalls, Democrats couldn't pass anything without Republican votes in 2025.
Right.
So
minority.
Right. Republicans passed this bill. These rich Republicans got upset when they had to pay their fair share. So now they're suing the Republican governor. And we might as well just walk into the bank and light the taxpayer money on fire at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And well, and also the reason the Republican Party is suing is because like the Republican Montana Republican Party as is like the far right faction of current Montana Republicans.
Mhm.
Like Nasty Nine from the Senate and like those moderate House
Mhm.
reps that are Republican that were like working with Democrats to pass legislation like this property tax relief have basically been shunned from the Montana Democrat
Yeah,
Party.
they've been like literally excommunicated.
Yeah. And the Republican Party of Montana now is like working with Americans for Prosperity to
Yep.
like, primary these moderate Republicans that work with Democrats to pass good
Oh
legislation.
yeah.
So,
They've got purity tests, the whole nine.
yeah.
It's wild. But so back to the property taxes conversation, part of the reason that we've seen property taxes climb so much in the last few years is Gianforte's attempt to slash income taxes. The state needs money to function. Like, we know this. The money has to come from somewhere, which is taxes. All of these conversations are kind of why we're starting to see sales tax coming back into messaging and things like that. Um, Gianforte still has a slush fund, but apparently that's not an option that he seems willing to use. Um,
Maybe we should just start bringing up the slush fund every chance we get, like the Epstein files, like in
mm,
Forte's slush fund. There's millions of dollars in
I
it.
like it.
It doesn't tell us what it's for.
Release the slush fund.
Release their slush fund.
But income taxes are the fairest taxation option that we have right now for Montanans. Gianforte has this goal of a flat income tax, which he would have to supplement with property taxes and probably also a sales tax. But proportionally, if you're getting taxed on 4% of your income and 4% of everything you buy at the store, plus your property taxes, that's a significantly bigger burden for working Montanans than it is for like some tech bro who makes $1 million a year.
Exactly. There's a reason Montana is what one of four states in the union that has never had a sales tax. We're
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty darn fortunate, um, because sales tax is a regressive tax
Very.
of Montana, and the poorest of us get hit the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why things like property taxes have tended to work better in a state like
Mm-hmm.
ours.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. And the other one that's also kind of in the conversation is some kind of like a tourist tax,
Yeah.
um, which would probably end up being on like hotels, restaurants, those kind of touristy things,
Yeah.
to try to pull some revenue there. But the whole property taxes debacle makes me really angry because like people can't afford homes.
Yeah.
Like people can't afford to buy homes, people can't afford to keep their homes, and a good chunk of that is in part because of property taxes. So what we should do, in my humble opinion anyway, is elect a ton of Democrats this November, kick the income tax rate up for Montanans who make like $1 million a year,
Mm-hmm.
let them take on their fair share of the tax burden so that
Mm-hmm.
we can start working to find a way to like bring these property tax rates actually down for working Montanans. And then we can start figuring out ways to find second home loopholes for families that have those generational cabins that they've had for 300 years.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that ends up being unfair because of the second home classification due to like snowbirds and Yellowstone clubbers and people who like to buy property here that don't use it. But we have to we have to have the money, and we get the money by taxing the rich. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's a whole thing. I mean, I think my generation, the millennials, are like the first generation, I could be wrong, but I know I'm on the right track. Like the first generation of like homeowners that
Hmm.
will actually see a drop in home ownership compared to the
Mm,
generations before, as will
hmm.
Gen Z. Like we're just not, the majority of us are not in socioeconomic positions where we can afford to buy homes.
Right?
The majority of people in Missoula, Montana right now are renters.
Yeah.
That's all the people here.
That's why I moved out of Missoula, was because they wanted $1,800 for a 900 square foot 2 bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is craziness.
Yeah. And, you know, housing is probably one of the, if not the top
Mm.
biggest issues facing, you know, our society right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. But I have good news before we wrap for the day. I know good news is rare these days. Virginia's redistricting referendum passed last night.
Virginia! Woo!
Our queen, Abigail Spanberger.
Slay.
Um, it was definitely close. They only yes, only won by like a point and a half or something like that. So it was a pretty close race. But Virginians ultimately chose to redistrict their state and pick up 4 Democratic-leaning seats for the House elections in November. And for those of you keeping track of the redistricting war at home, Virginia's passage puts Dems at a +1 advantage currently. Now, that being said, Ron DeSantis is planning to call a special session soon, hoping that Florida Republicans will approve a Republican favored map. Um, we'll see if that materializes. But I bet Trump and Greg Abbott are really regretting that decision about now.
Mhm.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, guys. But yeah, so Republicans are expected to pick up 9 seats, 5 in Texas, which was from the initial map, 2 in Ohio, 1 in North Carolina, and 1 in Missouri. Democrats have picked up 10, 5 in California from Prop 50, 4 in Virginia from this referendum, and then 1 in Utah, which was hilarious. That's my favorite one because Republicans passed a new map trying to do this whole gerrymandering thing for the president. And then the courts got a hold of it and they were like, no. And we're going to draw the map this time. So here's the map. Also, it includes a new Democrat seat. Thanks. Bye.
Amazing.
No, it was awesome. But so everyone keep your eyes peeled for Ron DeSantis's bullshit next week because I'm sure we'll see some of it.
Yeah.
We'll see if the war is over, unpaused, restarted, not begun. We'll see where we're at with that next week from the president. Actually, just kidding. We will not have an episode next week because your girl will be in Hawaii.
Yes.
But we'll
Love it.
catch you in May.
Which island?
We're going to Maui.
That's the best one.
I've never been. I'm very excited.
Let's talk offline. I've got some tips and tricks.
If anyone has any Hawaii recs, specifically on Maui, drop them below. And we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Later.